It's that time of year. Many companies are hosting their holiday parties. And as we all know, things can go left at those events, thanks in part to disputes that spill over from the workplace. My next guest is Richard Burke of JAMS Pathways, the world's leading private provider of alternative dispute resolution services. He shares help on keeping the drama to a minimum at work. I've seen some people personally at the office holiday party and they never make it back to the building because of their behavior. So, first of all, what are the leading reasons why people get into disputes at those holiday parties?
Well, about 30 to 50%, depending on what stats you look at, are introverts. And so a lot of people really aren't comfortable in those situations. The other things that happen is there's a lot of overload at the end of the year because you're closing the books for business. It's, a short month. And so there's a lot of pressure. Maybe burnout, weather's at its worst, days are at their shortest. The treadmill's been running fast since the return to work after Thanksgiving, and year-end reviews are looming. So it's a pressure cooker. And for people to just say, oh, let's socialize, doesn't work for everybody.
Absolutely. And you indicated that there are a lot of people who work with you, who may work with you, who may be introverts. And for
Right.
those who go to the party or don't feel comfortable going to that holiday party, should they just stay home and not put themselves in harm's way by going to that party knowing they don't just know how to interact with someone?
Well, I think you have to make an individual judgment call. And really, if you know that the meeting is going to be very problematic for you, maybe with a little bit of notice, look for an excuse. But otherwise, one of the strategies you can find is, make sure you have a buddy at the meeting who already knows how uncomfortable you're going to be. And then you can kind of hole up in a corner or, just stay in one conversation and make an appearance and then make a graceful exit. So I think, it's holiday times. We got to look out for ourselves and make sure, like you say, we're not going to get into some kind of situation that's going to have an aftermath that's going to linger.
And of course, you don't want that liquid courage, right?
Well, once upon a time, holidays were not parties without alcohol, but I think that day is past, and I think it's perfectly fine to have holidays without alcohol being the main event.
Now, when we take these problems that we may have, a situation that we may encounter at those holiday parties, what does that look like at work if you end up beefing with someone because of that holiday party? When it gets to work, how bad does it get? What are we looking at, Richard?
Well, a lot of times problems at work manifest in terms of morale, retention. It makes it hard for people to feel good. You heard of the phrase quiet quitting. And so some people are quiet quitting and some people are actually quitting. At meetings, people can be only half attentive. They might show up late with their camera off or not show at all. With communication, they might be a little less patient with each other on email or just in general, and even showing up. People who find work to be a troublesome place to be call in sick more, come in late, and that just leads to more burnout and overload.
Now, how do you address that? Do you go into your manager's office and say, "Look, I have this problem with Jim or Sarah, and can you bring us in and talk it out?" Go to HR, or do you go to that person yourself and see if you can resolve it without bringing management into it?
It's usually better to enlist a third party. And, I'm in the business of being a third party that helps people resolve their conflicts. Conflict resolution's not common sense. I've been working at this for, coming on 4 decades. I still have a big reading list ahead of me, and I'm learning a lot every day. And so if you've been a doctor or you've been working in the construction trades or whatever your business is, you've been spending a long time getting good at that, but you haven't necessarily had much practice resolving conflict except for maybe your family of origin and some basic stuff. So it's always good to bring in somebody trained. And so I would encourage, if you're comfortable talking to somebody who's maybe a little bit above you in the work hierarchy or exists off to the side like HR. Um, so know when to bring in help. It's not common sense.
Got it. Richard Burke is with JAMS Pathways, and it's the world's leading provider private provider of alternative dispute resolution services. Thank you for joining us here on the Factor Uncensored, and we appreciate your direction because we'll need it this holiday season.
Well, and call in a pro when you need a pro. Thank you so much, Isaiah.